fine. Crimson Harvest is out today. People want to talk about it a little bit. And this actually happens basically every single event. We have a problem with some people not being able to find sites and whatnot. So a couple of tips when it comes to finding sites. I actually really appreciate CCP Kestrel in chat verifying that it is, in fact, actually 200 of each side in HiSec, which would mean, you know, a total of 400 of these sites in HiSec at any given time. And they recycle through all of HiSec. So it's not done through Constellation or Region or anything like that, like we've suspected and other sites are done. They can recycle through everywhere, it sounds like. So that being said, how do we find those 200? There's a lot of systems out there and a lot of people trying to run them. First of all, it's worth checking. It always is worth checking to see if cosmic anomalies. Yeah, so nope. Yeah, so you can see here that I can actually see that there's Crimson Gauntlets one jump away. It is an anomaly, so this allows you to be able to detect sites that are in your periphery as you're moving around. So that how do you do that? You open up the, oh shoot, hold on. Okay, let me try again. You open up the agency. It'll look like this. You don't click on Crimson Harvest. You go to encounters. No, you go to exploration, combat anomalies. Combat anomalies will show you how many anomalies are in every system, and will show you what anomalies they are as long as you're within one jump of them. So look, there's 3 Tetramon bases in Othanoon right now. Just go run them, man. It's easy. Hey, sugar. Yeah. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, this is the same thing as like normal exploration, right? People wander around in exploration in HiSec, or really anywhere, and they don't run into any sites. And the problem is that partially because you just went through there, right? Or like you're traveling the whole time. If you stay within an area and kind of like prowl a good area, I find that actually more successful because it allows you to quickly detect things. When I do events, normally I'll find 2 different points and I'll kind of pace between them. But that brings up to the final point, which is that you actually don't want to make your destinations too far out, because if you do that, then your autopilot's going to route you through one of the main thoroughfares of the cluster. And if you're on the main thoroughfares, chances of somebody getting to the place first is really high. So the best bet is to go into the boonies of like Amar or Mimitar or even Galente space, and find some little nooks and crannies to poke your head into and see what's going on. But as far as the thing is that there isn't less sites than normal. It's just I don't think that they've ever put a number to it before. What do you think about that? There's a missing half wing of the Edencom logo in Station on Othanoon 5. I say we wait to see if it gets fixed as a bug. But remember, or not remember, but it's worth thinking about the fact that HiSec sites are defined by being competitive, or by competing, right? So there aren't that many of them, and you're fighting with other people over them. So they can be kind of hard to find, and other people can come in and race you for them. And that can be really frustrating because you can't do anything about it. And all of that sounds bad until you realize that that's because there's a simple answer to that, which is nullsec sites, lowsec sites, etc. And so it's like, well, if your problem is that you can't do anything about the people coming in, then you could do them in lowsec where you could do something about it. Now, that obviously has its own concerns and whatnot, and a lot of people won't take that bet, but that's kind of the point. The entire like theme of HiSec is the rules, right? You are living in the heart of the empire. An ad. Boo. So those rules protect you, but they are oppressive. Does that make sense? It makes going to lowsec a good idea from certain perspectives, and not just because the better sites are there. The best sites aren't always there, CCP Kestrel. Let's not say that, but CCP does tend to put their better sites in lowsec. So it's also worth noting that with the Crimson Harvest comes 90% drop rate. So normally when you die, everything in your ship has a 50-50 chance of dropping in your wreck. But during this time until November 1st, when you die, everything on your wreck drops 90% of the time. Now, what's interesting about that, yes, it does make things much more dangerous, right? Insofar as it makes it much more dangerous. Shoot, where was I? Oh, insofar as like it's a good time to gank people, right? So, you know, in this event, these events are open for battleships. And so, like, for instance, Marauders are pretty decent in these events, and other expensive ships. You're tempted to go around in an expensive ship, but at the same time, it's also very lucrative to gank people because you've got a 90% chance of getting any of the fancy stuff that they have on them, let alone the loot that they have in their wreck. So that's worth considering. But it's also important to note that 90%, they say it's PvP, but it's not actually strictly PvP. It's any player loss. So if you go and do something daring and get chewed up for it by the NPCs, or if you lose a mission ship in the next couple of weeks or whatever, you should be able to go and recover that stuff, assuming that you can recover this, you know, take control of the area enough to be able to loot it. Yeah, it's not the implants one. That's the Easter event. Hold on a second. Actually, I have a website for this. Hey, Virgosin07. Thank you for that. 07's in chat. All you subs, you get those cool emotes. And yes, I am trying to distract everybody because this isn't working. All right. I haven't fleshed it out yet. Okay. What do you... Caldari Waitress, you know, not only has this event been this way for a while, you know the Crimson Harvest is like literally the first event, right? Multiple times it's the first event, actually. So this website, or on our Notion, I have an event section. This not only has the stuff about the faction campaign in Othanun and the Amar Kaldaris, the Amar Mimitar side, Turner, Egmar, and Vard. I actually do need to update this. I haven't gotten around to that yet. There's been a lot to do, but there is all of these different holidays. But dang it, I didn't have it here. Hold on a second. Let me keep looking, because I thought I had updated this, but I haven't. So it's on a, I have a spreadsheet for it. Also, it's funny that people would be complaining about not enough to the event, because this is actually the very first time in the history of EVE, as far as I know, that CCP has actually had technically 4 different events going on at the same time. We've never had more than one. I wouldn't agree with that. I know a lot of people have engaged in the hacking sites, the hacking stuff, and has had a good time with it and made a lot of money. So that Google Doc, which looks like this, this is all of the major holidays. So we have the Crimson Harvest, which is Blood Raiders. It has 90% drops. You're expecting Amar or Blood Raider sites, which you have to select between them. The better sites are in... I might need to update this because I haven't double checked this. This was last year's stuff. You'll need to expect Newt's, Webs, Points, Target Painter, and Warp Disruptor. Or Weapons Disruption, sorry. Note, that means that I don't think that they have scrams, because I noted scrams separately, so unless I missed it. There's no Mining Blitz. There's data sites that are level 3, and it drops Deathglow Hunter, Headhunter skins, and generally is with the Malagrin Marshlight in the news. And the way it works is that on one side, if you work for the Tetramon, it's far more straightforward because they are pirates that you're fighting, and therefore you can get the Overseer's effects and sell them. If you're working for the Blood Raiders, it's a little bit more complicated, because what you do is you collect war clone blanks from the sites and the rats. You have to actually loot all of the rats and not just the final boss, because any of them can have war clone blanks. And you turn those in NPC Blood Raider stations. So most of the things... What? Oh, ha 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 ha. Yeah, you're right. Most of the things, or most of the time, you can just sell those war clone blanks on the market. But this is actually true, that like people will continually have buy orders up of these war clone blanks because they buy them all year round. It's just they drop during the event. So I know I can, but I mean, the fact that somebody's upset is fine. And what they're like, they can be upset about certain things, and we can talk about those things. Like I said, the fact that people want there to be more sites is not very uncommon. But I will tell you that often the difference between people that are complaining about not being able to get sites and people that say that it's just fine, it are the people that know how to, you know, that have done events a while and have kind of built up their own little prowling areas. I think that it's the same as it's always been. Right? Like, just a raw number doesn't tell us whether or not... I mean, you can believe that, and that's fine, but just realize that like CCP has them at the rate that they want them to be, right? If they wanted it to be more common, then they would make it more common. The thing is that if they were in every system, then there would be no... It would be far less likely for players to interact with each other, like run into the same one. Which, while people might see that as a good thing, in a weird way, negative interactions are still interactions. And even then, like, you never know what can come from that. So... Revolt 07. So there would be an issue if there was enough sites for everybody, because then it is 100% just PvE grind. Right. Well, I mean, it's counter to the culture of the game to not be for it to not be competitive. Hold on, what? Oh, it's double negative, right? Okay. So yeah, but I would say that it's about facilitating player interaction, right? Play and counterplay. That's where the real game is. Embrace it. The thing is that, like with a lot of things, I mean, this is one of those adapt or die situations. Like, you can get mad about it, or you can figure out how to get the most out of it, because everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's working under the same conditions, right? So, can you do it better than other people? I will say that if you just want to get your track up, it could be very well worth considering doing something like hopping in a exploration ship and yeeting out to Null. They are in Null, right? At least the basic sites. Yeah. So, you know, if you are... this is actually... I've even seen people do this with, like, their battleship, where, because the yeet filaments are so, like, straightforward, you just take a battleship with a cloak on it, and you yeet it out to nullsec with a noise filament, and if it's a bad site, then you cloak up and do it again in 15 minutes. And if it's a good area, just run the sites out there where nobody's going to bother you. And when you're done, just yeet back to Pochvin and then pop out. Stay cloaked while you're in Pochvin. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's a totally... I mean, it's a crazy strategy, but it works, and I've known at least a couple people that have done it. You know, you can also just do the explo sites are pretty good. That being said, if you're going to be running around doing explo right now, it's probably worth doing I've heard that the Triglavian one for the Caldari Galente one is really solid, because the loot that you get is good just on the surface and really easy to get money out of. Like, they give you red loot, which is direct turn in. It's a commodity. And Dutch Gunner could probably link some information if we give him permission to. But the Arydanika Research Consortium, or Dutch Gunner, one of the two, is purchasing the turn-ins from those sites. So you have the choice to turn them in to either of the empires that you choose to get their tokens in order to get the new faction exploration ships or battle cruisers. Or you can turn it into Arydanika Research Consortium and make money. I am actually really, really surprised by how the Caldari have performed in that event. We can look at that as an update too. Yeah. So, okay, hold on. The idea that it's limited by number is important because it feels like when that is your complaint, it sounds like what you're saying is that they can all get used up too easily, right? But they recycle relatively quickly. So it's closer to say there is always 200 sites up, right? And that means a lot of things, because on the one hand, it may feel like there's not a lot of sites, especially right now, but trust me, you can find a little pocket where, you know, 5 of them have built up, and then you feel like a fucking hero. You just rip through them and you're like, yeah, you know, like that's good stuff. The point of the matter is to give you challenges so that way you can develop strategies to overcome those challenges. The point of it is to not just give you on a silver, here's your grind for the next 2 weeks. That's not the point. How many systems are in high sec? Don't even. Please don't. It's like, we'll go with 2,000. So 1%? No, 400. No, 10%. That means 10% of all systems have a site in it, right? That's pretty good. Has either site in it. Well, technically it would be 5% if you went with either of them. I'm bad at math. If there's 2,000 systems and 200 of them have a site, or there's 200 sites, then on average, 1 in 10 systems has a site. Right? Hold on. Now. Oh, okay. Whew. Sorry, I pride myself on my math, but you know, sometimes you can get all twisted around and then just like do the wrong thing. Either way, embrace the challenge or don't do the event. It's just that simple. So